record it to the cloud. Hello, my name is Wayne Pitts and I work with RTI International, and I'm here today with Ms. Adele Ramos from the Belize Crime Observatory. And I wanted to ask her, she is the acting or interim technical coordinator for the observatory. And today I'm like to ask her a few questions about the observatory, and please feel free to share anything that you'd like.
Great. So good morning. Thank you for asking me to share about the observatory. We're always very happy to let people know what we do and what we have to offer. So the Belize Crime Observatory was established in 2016, October of 2016. So this year would be its 4th year in existence. And the whole idea of having an observatory set up was so that there could be a central repository of crime data and information. So you know that, of course, most of the crime data is collected by the Belize Police Department, but other agencies also collect crime data and information. So for example, we have the Belize Central Prison. So they would have data on incarceration, and the National Forensic Science Service, they also collect crime data based on the autopsies that they do under the Coroner's Act. So they would do autopsies, for example, on homicide and suicide victims. Also, we have the judiciary that generates crime data and information. We have entities like the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution that also generate information within the public sector. So the Crime Observatory then would get data from these various entities. We have some of them, of course, that we get data from on a fairly regular basis, on a monthly basis. Some of the others would be on the basis of requests. So for example, if we wanted data on sex offenders from the court, we would have to make a request from them, because we do have the sex offenders registry database that we populate. And we do get data from the prison, from the judiciary, and the police to put it within that database. So that's, in a nutshell, what we do in terms of collecting and gathering data. So what do we do with the data? The data, of course, can be used for both internal purposes within the ministry, within the public sector, but also we have a wide range of stakeholders. And so those stakeholders, of course, run the gamut. They include the general public, the media, the NGO community. And so we bear that in mind when we're collecting this data, that we have users of a wide range of needs. And so one of the things that we do to share some of that information is to generate a monthly report. So that monthly report is an output from the data we gather from at least 3, sometimes 4 entities. We also do get data, for example, from the Ministry of Health, because they do have data on homicides, on road traffic fatalities, on suicides. And so we integrate, of course, more of an interagency approach. And that's something that we've actually been emphasizing a lot on in 2020. Because we realized, for example, looking at the road traffic fatalities data, that one entity was reporting one thing and another entity was reporting something else. And why is it that we can't all be on the same page? So we embarked on a process where we sat down with the data from the different entities. We scrubbed those lists. We took off people who were deemed to be dead, who had not died, those who, for example, may have died of other causes, even though it may have appeared that it was the accident that killed a person. You have to go to the forensic examination to see whether that was the actual reason for that person's death. And so that's the value of having all this information pulled together, so that we can improve our accuracy, so that when we say this is a figure, we can be as close as possible to the truth. And so we really appreciated that effort from all our partners coming together willingly to share their information so that we can be on the same page.
Excellent. That's fascinating. Thank you so much for that detail. So if a community member or NGO would like to access your website, what kinds of information will they find? Is there only data sets, or do you also have, besides the monthly report, are there other kinds of already prepared reports that you have available?
Okay. So we try to create a range of information products. So most of the reports that we produce on a monthly basis, they are in PDF formats, they're downloadable. So if you go on the website, you can find those, you can access those. We have a couple of interactive graphs on our homepage. We use a tool called Microsoft Power BI. So we embed a summary dashboard on our monthly report page. We create maps, we create interactive applications using spatial data. So if you go on our website and you navigate, you explore the tabs, you'll find that you can access crime maps, you can access open data, and some of this, of course, is in downloadable format. So if you go on the open data site and you click catalog, if let's say there's a CSV file, a comma separated value file, that's a kind of data sheet, you can download that. So we try to make certain things available to the public. Of course, we cannot share sensitive data and information in the public domain. And so where that exists, that would be used for internal purposes.
Okay, and do you accept special requests? So if there is some sensitive data or some special slice of the data that a particular NGO or individual is looking for, can they submit a special request for data?
Yes, definitely. So we do, and we have been receiving requests from the wider community. So if there is something that a stakeholder needs that's not on the website, then of course you can email us at bco@nsc.gov.bz. And if we don't have the data in-house, then we would contact the entity that would produce that data and ask them for it. If they authorize the release of that data, then we can make it available. Of course, if it's information that is really, really sensitive and cannot be shared, then of course we have to respect that. However, if it is something that is available and shareable, definitely, as long as it's available to us, then we could make it available to you.
Sure. And how up to date are the data? Is it updated monthly, quarterly? How real time is the data?
It depends on the kind of data you're talking about. So on a monthly basis, the focus is on major crimes, which are 6 categories of crime. So those are murder, rape, robbery, burglary, theft, and unlawful sexual intercourse. We also include in our monthly report information on road traffic fatalities, incarceration, and autopsies done by the National Forensic Science Service. Now, if you're talking like, let's say, domestic violence, we don't report on domestic violence on such a regular basis because of the way the reports are produced and presented to us. However, if there is a special request, then of course we would liaise with the desk that does that sort of data gathering to be able to provide that information. So we actually recently finished an internal report for the first quarter. There was a lag because of COVID-19 in terms of that desk having to be put on pause for a while because, of course, the movement restrictions, and so the officer could not really be at that desk. And it's actually a lot of hands-on work because you have to verify, you know, it's not just having data just dropped in a database, but because of the nature of that information, there's a special process that entails. So thankfully, we've been able to get that, and we hope to be able to get the mid-year information soon. So that depends on the kind of data that we're dealing with. Now, let's say somebody is interested in data on youth, violence affecting youth. That would be a special request. And they might ask for specific dimensions, or let's say violence specifically involving women, or violence against women, or violence against minority groups, for example. Those would be special requests. And it depends on how the data is captured, whether we're able to then report it in a manner that would satisfy the request. If it is not captured that way, then obviously we will not be able to satisfy the request. So also one of the areas that we emphasize is to look at things across the whole continuum, because everything starts where the data is captured and where it is entered into the system. And like we say, garbage in, garbage out. And thankfully, for the most part, most of the data really and truly is good data, but there are gaps. So we recently did also an analysis of needs and gaps. And we are going to be embarking on our requirements analysis in the months ahead. So we're going to be engaging our stakeholders to find out what is it that they need, and also looking at what the system can generate and what the gaps are that would need to be bridged. This is an initiative that would be funded by USAID through the InfoSegura project, and it's being implemented in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program in Belize. So they are main funders right now, actually, the main funders of the observatory's programmatic work. On the operational side, of course, there is counterpart funding from the government of Belize. And so those two funding sources coming together really enables the observatory to be able to deliver upon what it is that it is there to do. So serving as that central repository for crime data and information, and making that data and information available to a wide range of stakeholders.
Excellent. Ms. Ramos, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure hearing more about the Belize Crime Observatory. One more time, could you share the website address to the observatory?
Sure. So it's https://vco.gov.bz. So visit us, and of course we have information there up to June 2020, so you can get actually the latest crime information.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too. Bye.